Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in. Today I'm sitting here with Natasha, and we'll be speaking about mental health and how it can affect people, especially in the diaspora. So we will be covering topics like, motherhood in the diaspora, whether you're single or married. We will talk about new immigrants in the country, whether you've come on a work permit or you have come as an asylum seeker. And we'll also be talking about general pressures of, living up to certain standards that maybe people here have set, and how that can affect your mental health, and maybe as well just general debt and the expenses of life in the diaspora, and how that can have an impact on your mental health. Now, just a disclaimer before we start: none of us are professionals. We are merely speaking from our own experiences and our own views and opinions, but we will be linking down below in the description box some numbers, some contacts, some emails that you may reach out to if any of the issues do affect you, or that if you feel that you need some help on it. So Natasha, thank you so much for coming in as my guest. I really appreciate it. If you can just briefly introduce yourself to our
My name is Natasha, popularly known as Digo anyway. Thank you so much, Cleo, for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm so proud of you. And I pray that your channel grows. And I pray that as you continue in this journey, because it's not an easy one, it's a jungle. Social media is a jungle if not used correctly. But I like what you're doing, and we're trying to support you. We're behind you, behind the scenes, even though some of us are not showing you. But this is why it's very important for us to like videos, share videos within our community and friends, so you can reach the masses. So really, once again, I'm proud of you.
Thank you very much, and do please press that subscribe button if you enjoy the content. So Natasha, really maybe let's dwell into it without wasting time. So let's speak about motherhood and how being a mother, whether you're a single mother or just as a parent, how life can affect you and end up having to deal with mental health issues.
It's a tough one, Cleo. I think as a community, being a migrant in general is not easy. We are all having our own issues here. We have cultural identity. You are trying to balance motherhood, trying to balance work life, so it can be really challenging, to be honest with you. And I'm sure many of us can relate to that. Most of us come here for different reasons. Majority of us, when I say us, I'm not discriminating against anybody. It's mainly coming from an African perspective, being in the diaspora, being an immigrant,
because it's a population you can relate to.
So you're trying to balance motherhood, whether you're single or one parent, or you have a partner. You can have a partner but not having a supportive partner. So it can be challenging because support system like we have back in Africa. We all have support system. We have aunties, we have gogos, we have kulus, sisters, nephews. We all help each other. That's lacking in this part of the world. Basically, we are on our own. You're trying to balance that, and a shift, which is a killer. We're all trying to chase that paper. We have family pressures back home, which is major. I usually call it black tax. And we're killing ourselves here. All these things are leading to depression, and most people are not talking about it. Women.
So a lack of family support. And sometimes even those that have family, some people have sisters or brothers or a first cousin. Everyone is so busy with shifts. Everyone is busy chasing the euro, chasing the pound, chasing the dollar. That, and in that as well, people forget their own mental health.
Exactly.
Because if, for instance, you're a single parent and you're trying to navigate, helping the children, the homework, you're trying to make money to pay the bills, and you have family to support back home, all these pressures that are coming left, right, and center really can impact hugely on your mental health. And then I think you touched on partners that are unsupportive. Just go briefly into that now, give examples.
There's a classic case, like if you look at, like, say, you can have a partner, you're a married couple, but there's cultural influence in that aspect too. Because some of our brothers are coming with that I'm a man mentality.
Yeah, and men don't
won't change any diaper. Yet you after doing 12-hour shifts. And then you come home, he has a remote control, he's put his feet up, he's watching us now.
And the stove is off.
And the stuff is off.
Yeah.
And the baby's diaper is not changed in the name of, I think it's very important. That's why I'm glad you brought these kind of topics up, because I think we have to unlearn, relearn.
Yeah. That's very, very important
habits.
that you're saying that, because we are not going to sit down here and blame or bash our men in our society.
Not.
But what we're saying is that we're hoping 2, 3, 4, 5 men are watching, and they will realize that, oh my God, is this what I've been doing? How has this been impacting my wife's mental health? Maybe she can't talk because, as well as a society, the woman has to be obedient. The woman has to be respectful. When you start asking and questioning, you're becoming disrespectful. You're no longer worthy of a wife. So it's just, if a brother out there can just realize, look, if I can just make even the worst meal, as long as it
makes
edible,
a difference.
It's edible. Your wife will appreciate, and it will go a long way in just giving a peace of mind. Then when I get home, the kids will be fed. When I get home, all I have to do is wash the dishes. I know my husband or my partner would have cooked. So that's great. That's just one topic we've covered. And then in my introduction, we just spoke about new immigrants coming into the country. What challenges do you feel, or have you seen them being faced with?
To be honest with you, Cleo, I've always said, whether you're a new immigrant, you're an old immigrant, you're an OG immigrant, the pressures of being in the diaspora are just equally
more or less
challenging,
same.
really. Because if you look at it, like most of us, we just came here. Some of us came here willingly. Some people came here in this country unwillingly. Either way, I would say, if you look at the studies, they say probably 70%, more than 70% of people in the diaspora, they have to look after families, extended families back home. Therefore forced to take out more shifts. That's why if you look at it, mental health is affecting a lot of people in our community. I'm not saying more than any other race, not that at all, but because of our cultural influence, sometimes we don't speak up. Whether you're a man or a woman, or men are not deemed to being tough enough if they show emotions. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm just saying, that's why I say we have to unlearn and relearn and evolve in some of our mindset. There has to be a shift somewhere.
Yeah, thank you, Tash. But I also feel that, I know you're saying, whether you're new or, you've been here for a long time, but what I find is, well, in the people that I've been speaking to lately, there's been a huge influx of working visa migrants, of late. And a lot of what I hear from the negative, now there's always two sides to every story.
Absolutely,
there's both good and bad in every story. But the bad that we're here to talk about, unfortunately, today, how it impacts our mental health is, for example, if they have very poor working conditions, if their working hours are longer than what they anticipated, if their work allocation is always higher than their colleagues, if they're always put on the heavier side of the company, whether it's a physical job or it's a healthcare job, if they're always put on the most challenging side of the workplace, they don't have a voice. They fear losing out their work permit. They fear losing out their voice. They fear having to go back to their families and feeling like they've failed them. Because when you leave home, families, have a feeling of, oh, we're going to be better off now. We're going to be able to renovate our home. We're going to be able to send our child to a better school. And then all of a sudden you come back and say, oh, I haven't made it. So you feel like, if I speak out in the workplace, I may end up having to lose the job and having to go back to square one. And that will definitely have an impact on anyone's mental health. So these are issues that I'm looking to speak about. And like I've said, at the end, we will try and access as much as possible of contacts that people can get help from. Just to say, speak to someone. Reach out.
But on that note, Cleo, I've always said, personally, I'm not a fan of talking about challenges without solutions. So I'm glad you're bringing that up, that you have to, there's so much help out there. when you say a lot of people are working in poor conditions, most people think you'll be working hard in the farm or illegal gold panel. It's happening in this part of the world. Because you know why? This is my opinion. Why most people don't speak up. It's the slavery mentality. We need. That's why I always say we have to unlearn. Certain habits. People are afraid to speak up.
Absolutely,
they don't.
They think it's a taboo topic.
Exactly.
How can I speak about slavery? How can I talk about racism?
But these things are affecting us, whether you like it or not. If it hasn't affected you, fine. You're lucky. But it's out there.
They are real. And just to let any migrant or of African or of Black descent, that racism is real and it does exist, and don't be afraid to speak about it. There's a lot of anti-racism access for
Especially
sure
right
in the Republic of Ireland, for sure. I do know in the UK, for sure. I do know any first world country actually, they will have systems that are anti-racism. So if in the workplace you feel that you've been treated unfairly, secondary to racism, do reach out, don't be afraid, and you will not lose your job. The worst they can do is investigate the case, and either you get an apology or you get transferred to a different department or to a different site.
That's, I think you nailed it on when you say that. But just to let everyone know, like, you are not bashing Ireland. Ireland has been good to us. So just to put it out there, I told you it's the jungle. Social media is a jungle.
Ireland has no racism, but there's an odd one. Do you know what it's like? It's like saying, Amandebele bangamasela. Maybe it's a myth that's out there. Vele bakhona amandebele angamasela, but it cannot be everyone.
That so one is a story for another day.
So if we're saying Irish abalabandlululo, it also doesn't mean that all of them are like that. You will have 1, 2, 3 D&D that you'll come across.
Like we're not going to sit here and bash them, but this is our reality too.
Absolutely.
If it hasn't affected you out there,
it doesn't mean it's not there.
But our children are going through it, whether in schools, you hear stories. It's just that we're so busy focusing shift.
Yes.
Yet we're not even listening to our children. Will tell you their experience, how their day was. So that's why I'm saying sometimes some of our cultural, societal pressure as well is still a massive factor. It affects us, Cleo. Because if you look at it, like I say, Ireland has been great. It's been really, but there is a movement right now. If you look at the right wing, it's growing, it's spreading all over Europe. The ideology, like all these, far right, is there. You can see the tone has changed. There is an influx of migrants. Some of them are not prepared. They think it's heaven. We were not prepared, at least. We learned the hard way. So I'm hoping, that's why I say I appreciate your content, because hopefully someone can learn something out of it.
I'll just go back to where you touched about children. I feel that there's this generational mental health foundation that has never been uncovered, that has never been reveled into. Do you know, we ourselves, we grew up with parents saying, you don't talk back to a parent. And we never wanted to talk back. All we wanted was to give an opinion and to be heard. And unfortunately, as a generation of mothers, we are continuing with that. We're either intentionally blocking them off or unintentionally and unconsciously doing so by taking 5, 6, 7 shifts a week. And that means you're shutting down your child from speaking to you.
And the children are raising themselves.
Yes, from verbalizing what they're going through in school, from talking to you. If they walked into the house coming from school in tears, you're missing that out. So unfortunately, the type of work or the type of lifestyle we're choosing as parents of our generation is also putting a seed into our children's mental health. And I think if we don't tackle it today, we'll grow up to see a generation.
We're raising the same damaged generation.
The same damaged generation. So all I'm saying is, mothers out there, give yourselves 2-3 days a weekday at home. Listen to your child. If they are speaking, don't block them. Don't go, you're always talking. I cannot even speak on the phone because you're calling my name. Give them time. Give yourself time to listen to them so that you don't put them through what you've gone through with your parents that hasn't been of help to your mental health.
Like I say, Cleo, I've always say my idea of there's no way I can raise my children the way I was raised. I'll pick what suits. you know, because I can't expect to do everything and copy everything that our parents did. They didn't know how.
Any better.
They didn't know any better. Not that they didn't know any better. They thought they were doing the right thing. And we're not bashing our parents again.
No.
We're just saying our children are lost in translation if you look at it.
Absolutely.
You are busy at home. When your mom or your dad is talking, you shut up. We use those kind of words, not realizing it's
damaging
their self-esteem. When they go to school, they're supposed to have, say, maybe presentation in school. Majority of them, they're very shy. Their self-esteem is so low because they don't know. They're afraid of authority. You know, like there's so many layers into this story. Like,
yes,
you know,
absolutely.
But bring back.
We will,
to
if guys, you want us to dwell absolutely on mental health and children, please do comment down below and we can do a separate session on it and get maybe even someone more specialized in it.
It's got many legs.
Yes, absolutely.
It's got many legs.
However, I'd like us to go back to another section of new immigrants in the country. Say people that come in the country in the asylum system. I find their mental health can be very vulnerable. First and foremost, I think, or what I found is that some people think, asylum seekers are of a lower standard of people.
I can't stand that.
Yeah, or even the locals, you know, the abanikazi belizwe. They think that, if you're an asylum seeker, that means you're poor. That means you're already suffering. That means, you know, there's this negativity around them, or a label, you know, and this is so untrue. You have asylum seekers that have left businesses back home. You have asylum seekers that have left very productive communities and jobs back home. However, when they come here, they're brought down to a room of sharing with 4 people.
Can you imagine that?
And they are used to living in a big mansion, in a big home, because obviously of circumstances that have forced them to abandon those things and come and seek refuge in a different country. And as well, another point, Tash, is because it takes such a long time for them to be assessed and for the decision to be made, a lot of things can happen in between. Family can still be demanding of, you know,
family
we need this and we need that.
Home.
Absolutely. Touch on that now, you know.
Like if you look at it, some people, like you're saying, the process can be so long. Some people are lucky. We're not generalizing at all. Like we say, I keep going back to the personal opinions, experiences, and whatnot. Some people, they've never buried their children, all because their paperwork wasn't processed, or it's prolonged. Some people lost their parents, and all those things are leading to mental health. The very same mental illness we're talking about, depression. You know, like
that is so true.
It's a sad one.
And in our culture, we believe that you get closure on ukuphosela ilitshe, or the Shonas, I think they say kukanda ivu, you know, that, I think that's what they call it. So, pardon me if I've said it in wrong.
But what do they say in Kalanga, please?
I think toposela mavu.
It's toposela mavu. It's very significant to us.
Yes, absolutely. And that's how we get closure. Actually seeing someone going down and being buried and throwing a stone or throwing a bit of soil there gives us closure. So that inability to do that leaves a lot of people with a big
resentment.
Yes. And just lack of understanding and lack of acceptance, and they never get over it.
Absolutely.
You know, we know here even people that are able to bury their parents, they go through therapy.
It's a step.
No, let's normalize therapy as a people, as a society.
Can I jump on that
as
when
Africans?
You say let's normalize therapy? Because most people, you know, like they're very, you know, some of us can be very defensive and say, isikhiwo siyathanda ukubhesha izinto esingazi-understandiyo in the name of selikopi izinto lesikhiwo akula kukopi isikhiwo. Like you say, let's normalize therapy. Let's normalize whether it's your prayer group, your church, any person, your safe space. What is your safe space? Who's that go-to person?
Yes, identify your safe space.
Basically, if you don't mind, let's not over-spiritualize everything. Asikho konke ubuthakathi amadlozi siblame amadlozi lobuthakathi lokuloywa kukhona singabantu bamsundu umsunda singabantu abamnyama
singabantu
abamnyama ubuthakathi bukhona let's not over spiritualize everything. Not asikho konke spiritual, Cleo.
Yeah.
It could be depression, like all these factors, all these things we've established, most of the problems that we've come across, that we've seen.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's kangeleni on the other side.
Yeah, I
Because if
know.
we are going to say till today, some people, they're not even speaking to their loved ones,
Yeah,
aunties, in the name of ukuthi bayaloya.
Yeah.
Kungala proof.
I think, Tash, I spoke to you, and I think I sent you a little video of a woman. Apparently, she was in Poland and running around the streets naked. I don't know if we'll have consent to put a little clip, up here. I don't know whether or not, because there's nudity in that little clip. But what worried me or what bothered me is that what's the message that circulated with that clip? It was a laughter. It was like a mockery. It was like a joke, and I said it broke my heart. It was very sad. What I have understood now, I may be wrong. I stand to be corrected about migrants in Poland. Most of them, or the majority of them, go in as students from our country. And when they get there, they have to hustle. They have to raise the. They may have been able to pay the first fees, so they have to work hard to raise the
and support families back home
and raise the rest of the other 2 or 3 years of their fees. And apparently the most jobs they get is in farms. Strawberry picking is,
and the minimum wage,
or they work
is
at chicken farms, and they have to be slaughtering the chickens and that. And those are not the kind of jobs that some people would have worked with back home. Some people left accounting jobs, bank jobs, and that can have a huge mental impact on your health. Thinking, sure, is this what I left my home for? And like I've said, it's not the easiest decision to say,
no,
I'm going back home.
It's not.
Because maybe you've sold your house. Maybe they sold the family home and said, Hamba mtanami, we know you'll be able to build a bigger one for us. Sell this house, go and do it. We know you'll be able to do bigger for us. And then now you come back and say, I failed. You failed the whole community, you failed the whole family. So it puts a huge pressure on your mental health that you just have to sit and stand in this situation and environment.
No, absolutely. You're right. Like, like I say, I always keep emphasizing on being generalizing, whatever you call it, because these things are happening. We can't deny the fact that these other people's experiences. It's out there.
People, please be mindful. If you hear of a friend who's suffering depression, who is getting mad, check on them.
On your loved ones.
Get help for them. Don't be making them a laughing stock.
But Cleo, can I just hold it right there? When you say get help, like you have to. People must be willing to do that. There are so many factors that makes people
go
being judged. There are many reasons why people don't reach out to people.
Absolutely.
Joke.
Absolutely.
You reach out to people, they will forward your messages to other people.
Absolutely.
So people fear stigma. At the end of the day, when we say reach out, that's why it's important that people seek professional help. We have whatever your safety, your safe place, really, your private and safe place. Whether it's a therapist, where's the pastor wako, where's the whatever believer, neighbor,
or even someone in the workplace that has nothing to do with you, your manager,
anyone really.
Some jobs have, counseling departments, have therapy, have occupational health departments. So even the earliest person that you can, access, you do reach out. And then maybe, Tash, I just want you to speak about self-inflicted mental health, possibly mental health issues. I've seen people trying to live the life of, what's been set up with society here in the diaspora, the biggest car, the biggest credit card, the biggest
and the social media.
Yes.
Pressures, whatever, what do you call it? Living beyond your means, trying to keep up with the Jones.
Absolutely, you've said it.
You're putting pressure on yourself.
You've nailed the head on it.
All those kind can impact your mental health too, because you're living for the people.
So it's important to live within your own
Just
lane.
Be yourself.
Live within your means.
Live within your means. If you see Cleo in Vegas next weekend, don't put pressure on yourself. If you see Tash in Victoria Falls tomorrow, you don't know how. Maybe someone blessed me with that money.
And just, I'm going to touch on the new immigrants, and I'm not tackling them or whatever, but I know it takes time to come into a country and to settle and to navigate the system.
After decades
we're still navigating it. But what I find is,
I still cry. I miss home.
Yeah. But Tash, you see someone that has come in 6 months ago, and they're walking into a garage and taking the most expensive car. Because maybe Natasha is driving a Benz, I can drive it too. I think, give yourself time. Settle first. Don't rush. If Natasha has got a 65-inch screen, that's because she's worked 20 years and she has, don't put pressure and say, oh, I know Tash is from my neighborhood and she'll be telling them back home what she has. I want to have it too. Take your time.
You want to have the biggest house in your neighborhood.
Do it at your own pace. You will get there too. Don't rush, because that puts a lot of weight on your shoulders. You're putting pressure on yourself. You're, damaging your mental health.
In the process.
It's unnecessary. Just sit back, take your time and budget. And just maybe even some people are disappointed. When they come here, they think they've come to
heaven.
They've come to heaven. They've come to the greenest pastures. They've come to the... imali kiwe
zihlahleni, and it's not like that.
And then when you come here, you're disappointed. Our houses are the smallest square meters possible. You've left a house with a swimming pool back home. You were living in the suburbs.
Yeah.
And so, as well, I think it's important that us who are already here, we mentally prepare people, not that we want to discourage them, but we want to just tell them the reality.
Yeah.
We want them to know that, look, guys,
it's not the land of honey and gold.
No, it's not.
The bills here are just
high. And depending on what type of lifestyle you choose, if you're choosing a laid-back, easy-go lifestyle, you will be able to save money and, of course, achieve your dreams.
Absolutely.
But if you come in and go in the Gucci lifestyle, in the,
and
every weekend I party, there's nothing wrong with it.
As long as you can afford it.
Don't expect to have massive and massive of savings or do massive and massive of things back home, because it is an expensive country.
Yeah.
You get paid well and you spend your money
Sorry, Cleo.
well. Yeah.
You remember you were talking about this whole, especially when you're newly migrated to Ireland, whether it's a work visa, whatever case may be. I keep going to some of our background, our cultural backgrounds, our upbringing, our traditions, and they really affect us here in the diaspora. If you have a lot of people that are still afraid to go kuluma the queue. Cleo, are you going to stay for extra time, overtime today? Even though you're after doing 6 days a week, 12-hour shifts. No problem. Yes. You always say yes to everything.
Afraid to say no.
Because isakula thina abanye kuthiwa iqueue liphezulu kulawe, of which is not. So that's why in city we have to really unlearn certain habits.
Absolutely.
It's okay to speak up for yourself. If you can't do it, because at the end of the day, it takes it.
There's no better color, there's no better
stand
race.
Up for yourself.
We're all the same, so don't be afraid to speak. Don't be afraid to voice your opinions.
Absolutely.
We have, a lot of people of African descent that have done well in life, done well in the world, represented us as a nation, as a culture, as a race. So please do stand up for us and do speak up for yourself. And don't be afraid, And like Natasha said, I have to agree, the Irish are generally kind and good to us. So you will find one person that will hear you.
There's always that, like, even if you go to Zimbabwe now, in my country of origin,
you'll still find someone.
There's always that person in my community. Probably some people are like, if they go to my country, they can experience it too. So it's not universal, and we're also not, it's like I say, it's based on our own personal opinions, experiences, what we see around us.
Absolutely.
Whether right or wrong, nobody's right or wrong. It's just an opinion.
So just as a conclusion, Tash, and as a touch base on the solution or on the help people can have. Tash is enjoying the conversation. She's like, why are you shutting me off? Have you any other point, Tash? Come on,
know we touched on many things, Cleo. Come on, it can't be over. Are you telling me I've been talking that much?
You have been.
No,
been.
Solutions. You touch on solutions
Yeah,
because
no,
I don't believe
I want
in
us
challenges,
to
no
speak
solutions.
about solutions now. In conclusion, how do you feel of the problems we have spoken about? What help can people? Well, we spoke about people feeling under pressure and taking extra shifts. Feeling under pressure for supporting extended family.
Exhausted.
And again, people are neglecting themselves.
Yeah.
You find that, today, of course, I'm shooting a video. I have my face very well made up. I'm glammed. But that's not my everyday life. And I forget myself in the process. And if I have 50 euros and back home they ring and say, Asylum, they can always get firewood
and Cleo,
but
they should learn.
I don't have shoes. I will sacrifice that 50 euro
Absolutely.
and send it for them to get electricity instead of saying, look,
I think basically, Cleo, we have to communicate labantu abasekhaya. Kasiko ukuthi imali silayo bakithi unzima siqhwaya nzima phetsheya kubi ungabona nguthumezela i-100 bakithi ngitshone ngiyimeli ilanga lonke kumbe ngitshone ngihlele edeskini ilanga lonke. That's why yikho phela sesithi ba-spoiled sometimes abanye bethu izihlobo zethu ekhaya. Uzuma ukuthi sithi ciko ngicela umphosele okuyi-100 uthi okuyi-100 kodwa yenakalayo yona leyo okuyi-100 afaka kuphela kumbe okuyi-50 manje. Uyabona ispirit sona sekutheke sika-receive
and the spirit of appreciation is so low.
And abantu bakhona, they always have credit to call you. There's no network problems whenever they are stalking you for imali. And then next thing, when they collect that money, whether it's World Remit, Mukuru, whatever, they don't even call you back to say I got the money or I received the money. They don't do that.
To thank you.
So laba abantu basekhaya bakithi izama ukuthi isihlobo ngazile inceda.
But I think another thing is that we make the mistake, Tash. You come here every week, you're sending 100 euro. Every week you're sending 100. You're so excited. And then life happens. And then you're faced with bills, you're faced with reality, you want to engage yourself
School,
in education.
In September, children's fees.
And then suddenly you're not giving the same and they're upset and they're thinking, she's now selfish, she's forgotten us. Absolutely, so I think just go at a pace that will never tire you. Okay. Do this support system in a pace that will never make you feel exhausted, that will not drain you. Yes. Go easy. If it's 100 euros a month, stick to that. Because if you're now spending 500, 600, just like you have your monthly electricity bill, your monthly gas bill, your monthly car insurance, monthly budget and at a slow pace that will not strain you, that will not leave you strained and depressed. Okay, so sesingathi nje okufahla kuma solutions.
Kuma solutions, I think sike ngathi sathi fahla ngakho. Kuma solutions Cleo, just reach out to somebody trust or safe njengoba besichilo. Zama ukukhuluma nama-professionals, therapists, guys. Cleo is going to link information where you can call, even anonymous. There is help out there. But abantu abaningi bayesaba.
There's lines for abused women.
Njalo futhi lathi Cleo, nxa ngabuya kuwe ngithi Cleo ngile problem bakithi. Let's normalize ukuthi lawe ngile reason nxa mbuye kuwe. Ungasuka usuthatha konke ngutshele uhlekisa ngakho suforward kwabanye abantu.
Yeah, try and keep information as private and as confidential.
Ngile stress ngidepressed uzokuthiwa ucingo sehlani. Ucleo sephambili. Yikho kudala wabona labo gogo bethu thola abantu belama Alzheimer's dementia uzokuthiwa ugogo abantu waloya abantu bamphindisela. Izinto asikho konke yeba amaloya ekhona but asikho ukuthi konke yikho khona lo.
We shouldn't always conclude mental health issues
so
as witchcraft. Let's tackle them and get professional help.
Kumbe prayer group, church, spaces sakho safe. We can't tell you where to go, but information ikhona out there.
And whoever is approached,
uhlangane labantu kade sisigqokile siyagqoka sifuya somewhere sihlangane sidlale labanye abantwana konke onkana kuyayenza sikhohle but whatever makes you happy because asibo bonke abantu abafuna indaba zabo zikhulunywe of which ngiyaba understand why they don't reach out really but I think it's one of those many solutions when angazi ukuthi usalele.
Absolutely. I say reach out, talk to someone, and whoever is is approached, please do treat everyone's information as private and as confidential, because there's nothing as worse as you're already depressed or you're already suffocating and then you hear everyone laughing about it. It just only makes your situation worse. And talk to someone. And I will, like I said, put a few numbers and a few contacts in the description box that people can access to get help from. And thank you so much for tuning in. If you have enjoyed the content, please do press that subscribe button. And if you've stayed on for so long, we appreciate you.
No, ukhohlwe something. Sicela bayithi li-like ipage kaCleo, ngizakhuluma isiNdebele. Like-ani ipage kaCleo, li-share bayithi zihlobo just okulibutton. There is no point ukuthi uzusafakela uCleo i-message winbox uthi Cleo shwanya usupporta.
True.
Part of ukuba le content creator iku-share i-content yakho to reach masses, like I said earlier. Izinto ezinjalo nje bakithi asisupportane nini bakithi okuimportant omunye wethu ku-community. Whether it does, even if it doesn't make sense to you, it makes sense to them. So just support them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. And this is not only for people living in Ireland, it's anyone who's an immigrant.
In general.
Anyone in South Africa, if you're Zimbabwean, anyone in Botswana, as long as you're living in a country that you don't originally belong to, any of these issues could affect you, and any of the solutions we've put out here could help you. Do reach out to someone and do get help. You're not alone. You'll be surprised. You go to someone and they'll say, oh my God, I've been feeling the same. So between the two of you, two heads are better than one.
Absolutely.
You can get help, and just even the comfort of knowing I'm not on my own in this will help you settle your mind and get some relief in the mental health aspect of things. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Until next time, take care of yourselves and of each other.
Bye.